Welcome back to another video where I ask my dad seemingly random questions, but I feel that there's going to be some emotion behind this story, and this is why you hate cats.
Yeah, well, that goes back to my childhood. We really never had cats, but the house we had a few rats or something, so my mom decided, hey, let's get a cat and, take care of the rat problem. So there was a cat lady that lived not far from us, had a lot of cats. So she got one of those. It was an adult cat, and she was letting it came in the house. Well, one day I came in from school, the cat was on the couch. I sat down beside it and just randomly petting it, showing it some attention, not hurting it at all. And for just out of nowhere, it just reaches up with both claws and scratches down my face and went, that did it. And then I hated cats. I didn't want to be around them. I didn't like cats. And then another incident was later on. My mom had a chicken that she was thawing out to cook for dinner, and then we came home and somehow the cat got in the house and it was up there eating the chicken. So those are the two things that makes me hate cats. Oh, one more thing. I had a car that was my '69 Mustang Mach 1 that a dog was chasing the cat. The cat jumped up on the car, and the dog clawing to get the cat just scratched the car all up.
What car was that?
Because of the cat.
What car was that?
That was a '69 Mustang, 70 Mustang Mach 1. So that's my cat story.
Like, I feel that if this were a Marvel superhero movie and you were a character, like, you'd end up becoming a villain because of your hatred for cats, and you'd be like Dogman, and you'd like want to have this hatred towards cats. That would be your backstory. Like, that's often how the villain stories are set up. Like, something seemingly trivial, but then it's like, then it turns into this like backstory. And it's funny because something I was talking to coworkers about this past week is, like, my wife and I, we're not pet people. We've never had a pet. And that's kind of strange. We've been married 11 years. And it's normal that you almost start out with a puppy or something and then you work your way up to kids. But we had our first child like within 2 years of being married, and now we have two. But we've never had pets. And my wife is the equivalent of Monica from Friends. She's so obsessed with cleaning and keep everything clean. It would never work for us to have a pet, especially a cat or a dog in the house. But I feel like I'm the outsider at my work because everybody has at least dogs. Or if you don't have a dog, you at least have a cat. But it's just not in my nature to want to have to care for something like that's just going to ultimately die in 12 years at best. And then you have to take it to the vet, take it to the house. Because I know people, speaking of cats, I know people who have pet cats. There was this one guy, his cat, and they had kids too, but his cat dislocated its hip. They took it to the vet, and it was going to be like $2,900 to give it surgery. So they did it, and then it still had more issues for a cat for surgery.
Yeah, my dad would have took the cat in the backyard and shot it. And that's the way I grew up. My dad, he hated cats too. He really didn't even like dogs either, so we never had them.
Why didn't he like dogs? Any reason there?
He just didn't like the same thing, a dog jumping on you, a dog chewing stuff up, a dog tearing things up, dog barking at night. The same reason I wouldn't want a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but and I had a conversation with some coworkers a couple of years ago at my other job, and there was this guy that worked in my department, and he was one of those guys who like all into like rescue dogs, and like basically dogs are the same as human beings. Like, there's people that, like, I was at a restaurant with some coworkers, and I saw this other guy at a different table, I didn't know him, and he had a t-shirt that said dogs are people. And jokingly I said to one of my coworkers, hey, look at the shirt, dogs are people. And this is a guy who has like 3 dogs and like pays all this money for all the dogs, and he's like, yeah, they are. Like, so like some people think that way, but like I just don't have that mentality. You don't. I didn't grow up with that.
No.
And in the same way I didn't grow up with caring about sports, and these are things I don't regret. I'm happy to not want to have pets and not to care about sports. Because it's funny that we're the minority of men who don't care about sports.
Yeah.
We spend no time, energy, or money, emotions at all about anything to do with sports.
No.
So we have more time in our life to do stuff that actually matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all who wins those games.
No.
It doesn't matter at all with the players, the drafts. It's all pointless.
Right.
And it's so nerdy. The word is nerdy in all capital letters. When people at work or wherever like to talk, oh, what about this player? And they name all these nerdy stats about players. Like, do they do that at work?
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
It means nothing to me.
And like even the Super Bowl, whatever. It's like even in our house, we'll watch it just kind of for halftime or just as a family to say we did it, but it's all arbitrary. And Jerry Seinfeld has a part of his act where he's like, it's just laundry. You're rooting for laundry. Like they trade players. It's all pointless.
Yeah.
But so many men buy into it.
Yeah.
So.
And and even the race cars and
Oh, NASCAR.
NASCAR. I mean, it's still it's the same thing. I mean, even though I love cars, I don't care about watching them race. I don't care about drivers. I don't. At one time, I kind of got into that for a little while, but they're just people. They're not heroes at any time to me. They're no. What they say, what they do is not something that I want to follow or believe because they believe it. They're just people, just like everybody else. They just happen to be famous.
Yeah, and I've heard somebody at work. Man, a lot of things come from work, but I work mainly with men for a while, and somebody says that you can tell a lot by a man when you know what bothers him. So even if we say what bothers him, what gets him emotional out of it, if a sports game gets you angry, then that's kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
Like I think.
Yeah.
Like to worry about some human being that's a millionaire. And like, this is one of the things too, people love to say this. Well, school teachers, they don't get paid hardly anything. And look at what, they have one of the hardest jobs. And I agree. But here's the thing. Who's paying the teachers? They come from tax dollars. Who's paying the athletes? The people who watch the games, who pay to go to the games, who pay for them. I look at my jersey, it's got this guy's name on it. Like, that's why the football players in baseball and all these, that's why they have so much money. Mm-hmm. Because of you. You're doing that to them. So you lose the right to complain, oh, well, school teachers don't make enough money and they're the real heroes. Well, then stop paying attention to sports because it doesn't matter. So see, this was supposed to be like a 90-second video about why you hate cats.
Yeah.
But it turned into to this because, and I talk about all this time in my hair loss video specifically, that so many of my viewers didn't grow up with a positive male role model. And I did. I have you, and I couldn't have had a better father figure. But it's interesting to see that like all these little seemingly trivial things affects you as you become a grown man yourself. So I don't care about pets. I don't want pets. I don't care about sports. These things. But anyway, a story I was going to say though a minute ago. I had a coworker, and he was all about like rescue dogs and all this stuff. And he was talking about all these health problems it had, and I was thinking, this dog sounds miserable. It sounds like let's graciously end its life.
Yeah.
But then he was like, well, it's going to cost, $800 to go put it down. And then see me not being cultured in the sense, I said, because I grew up seeing you put cats out of their misery after they got ran over, and it's like, I saw you do it.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of saying out loud, well, if it were me, just hand me a shotgun and I'll take it to the woods. And when it's looking the other way, it won't know what hit it. Because why would I pay money for a professional to give it a shot when just that makes more sense? But then he said, Nick, you're too pragmatic. Okay, I guess I am. But I just think of all the time and money that would go into that. And it'd be one thing if it was just an abrupt end to its life, but then it's like if it gets sick and then you have to go through the emotional turmoil of seeing it pass away, as if life doesn't already have that with actual people that you have to deal with seeing them pass. But then to add an animals, like, and having to watch them die too after you've got this bond with them. So maybe it makes me less human to think that way, but
yeah.
But for me, I don't know. This is how we are. This is
yeah. We're wired, I guess it's called. We just not our thing. It's okay if you want it. That's yours. But for us, no.
For us, we're just not wired to have pets. and we're not wired to care about sports.
No.
So much for a 90-second video about cats going. Your comments belong right here. Hey, does any I should just end with this. Does anybody actually agree with us on this? Because I think this is going to be one of those things. What we just said is we could never put on Twitter. Like, if we were actors, our career would be over after this.
Oh, yeah.
We've said very controversial stuff, knowing that we're the minority, knowing that hardly anybody can at least see eye to eye and understand where we're coming from. So, if anyone actually agrees, I'd be interested to hear from you. Comments right there.